Welcome back to day 2 of Embrace the Journey, my 3-day live fertility yoga series this week. So, I hope that you've had a good rest since yesterday. And for those who didn't join live yesterday, it is not an issue. The replays are all available, so you've got some time to go back and catch up with those if you want. So, on day 1, we spoke a little bit about what fertility yoga is, how it's different to, say, quote unquote, normal yoga, and the reasons that we use this practice to support our journeys of trying to conceive, no matter where you are, whether it's through natural conception, throughout fertility treatments, or wherever you are at, it is able to support you in the ways that it does that. In today's session, what we're going to do, I've got about 10 minutes planned today at the beginning, where I'm going to go through a few of the things that I certainly got wrong on my fertility journey for many, many years that I would have loved to have realized were a bit of an issue prior. And it's things that I see a lot of my students that come to me, they're sort of struggling with these things as well. The most common things that I see over and over again. So we're going to go through and talk about those. And that's going to lead us into the topic of cycle syncing. And one of, as we spoke about yesterday, one of the biggest parts of fertility yoga is its ability to fit in so beautifully with your menstrual cycle. So we're going to speak a little bit more in depth about how that works. And then I'm going to talk about what happens if you don't have a menstrual cycle and how we work around that in a group setting, because obviously we are not always going to be at the same stage of our cycle when we come together in a group. So we have all of that coming up. So we've got about 10 minutes this morning just for me to explain a few things and then chat. And then our practice today, we're going through again a slow flow fertility yoga practice, but we are also going to start to incorporate a lot more pranayama, which is breath work. And this is something that, again, I love because it gives you these little extra tools to put into your toolbox. And we're going to use different practices to sort of bring about different things when we get to those. So I'm so excited to have you all with me. I just so appreciate you making the time. And let's get straight into it. So I'm going to share my screen and we are going to jump straight into all that I have prepared today and again. So let's just draw, where are we here? All right. Let's do it. So day 2, as I spoke about, all the things that we're going to learn. All right, so where do so many of us go wrong when we're trying to conceive? So this was 1000% me. The first thing on this list is this concept of the more I do, the more I'm going to support my fertility. So more is more. I, at the very height of my trying to conceive craziness, I was taking 19 different supplements per day, and yes, it counted them. I was going to acupuncture 3 times a week. I was doing my hypnosis sessions twice a day. I was doing fertility massage, fertility reflexology. I had joined all the support groups. I had the perfect organic diet, no gluten, no dairy, no sugar, no caffeine. What else did I cut out? I don't know. I'm not intolerant to gluten or dairy. I went crazy. I went absolutely crazy. And I thought that the more I did, the more I was going to be helping myself. But it just left me in a place of chronic dysregulation. And that leads to all sorts of problems like sleep issues. I had digestive issues. My cycle was all over the place, which we're going to talk about it in a minute. But the worst part about this is that I was miserable. My life was dictated by every moment of my day. I couldn't make a decision without first saying, how is this going to affect my chances of getting pregnant this month? And I think when you get to the point where it has taken over every single part of your life, I think that's where we need to take a step back and say, well, something probably needs to change. And that is what my yoga practice gave me, this ability to say, do you know what? This is all too much. I need 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour to myself, where I'm just going to find some silence, some stillness. I'm going to move my body, work with my breath, and I'm going to see how I feel afterwards. And that reset for me was the thing that changed everything. And I got to the point, as I spoke about yesterday, I had a forced stop point through a lot of my fertility treatments because of COVID. But I don't want you to have to get to that forced stop point. I want you to be able to say, look, I don't need to do all of these things. And there's nothing wrong with doing all those things to support your fertility, but when you do them all obsessively and from this energy of it's only there because it's going to help me get pregnant, that isn't going to help you. So what I really want to start teaching you is, let's make decisions based on, do they make me feel good? And is this something that's going to nourish me and support me, rather than it's only going to, I'm only doing it because it's going to get me pregnant. So take a big breath, and we are going to get out of that mindset, because that leads into the second point on my list here, which is this thinking that there is something wrong with you or something wrong with your body that needs to be fixed. I need to fix this. My cycle is broken. My egg quality is too bad. I am too old. All of these things that we tell ourselves. Your body is perfect exactly as it is. And when we see things like menstrual cycle irregularities, or, test results perhaps are not optimal, whatever it might be, these are just little signs that your body is saying, I need a little bit of support. There is nothing ever wrong with you or wrong with your body. It's just about finding the tools to support and help yourself along the way. So I really want to hope, I really would like for the 3 days that we have together to help you get out of that mindset of, I need to fix myself or my body. And the third thing that leads us into what we're going to speak a little bit more about is this idea of how we just try to treat our bodies the same every day of the month. And this comes from when we're teenagers and we first get our periods, right? We're taught, pop in a tampon, take painkillers if you have cramps, and get on with your day. You don't need to rest. You basically, you need to keep up with men, or, all of this nonsense that we are taught. And in reality, we are not the same every single day of the month. We have this beautiful flow that ebbs and flows of our hormones and our energy levels, and they're doing really important things to support our hormones and what is going on within our body. So when we can lean into what our body needs at different stages of the month, honestly, that is where magic happens. It is your superpower, your menstrual cycle. I am absolutely passionate about that. So, what is cycle syncing? So, as I'm sure you know, you have 4 distinct phases within your menstrual cycle, and they're not just like, one stops and the next one starts. Like they flow in towards each other. So, during menstruation, this is a time when your hormone levels are at their absolute lowest. And usually, in turn, that comes with our energy levels being at our lowest. And some people get more run down during their period than others. And I mean, it's going to be a very unique situation for all of us. But your menstrual phase is a time for slowing down and turning inwards. Your intuition, I find, is very heightened at this time of the month. And it's also, if you're trying to conceive, your menstrual phase can be a time of grief and a time where your body really needs that nourishment, that care and support. So in our yoga practice, this is where we lean into all of our restorative work, a lot of yin poses. We want to be able to keep the body moving gently, but without putting any pressure or any stress or strain on the body. So I like to tell my students, first 3 days of your period, skip the gym. Let's not book any exercise classes in. Like, you're not getting up at 5 a.m. and doing, fasted cardio on a black coffee. No, none of this. Just take some time to rest. I recommend slow walks in nature, coming into your menstrual phase, yoga practices, and just, maybe really gentle Pilates classes, those sorts of things, just to really let your body feel like it is nourished and supported. Stay warm. Then we move into the follicular phase. So I find for me, it's sort of about day 4 of my cycle. I feel like this sudden lift of energy. And again, that's going to be different for everyone. But as your follicular phase continues, we see on lab work that your hormone levels are starting to rise. So estrogen is rising. Your luteinizing hormone is starting to creep up as well, testosterone. And that is where we want to start working with that increase in energy. So for within our yoga practice, you're going to see a lot more of that vinyasa flow style of practice where there's a lot of up to standing, a lot of warrior poses, back down, a lot of chaturangas. We're moving our body through every plane of movement, getting lots of heat and lots of energy going to support what comes next, which is the ovulatory phase. So this is usually sort of around 2 to 4 days where it is the peak of your cycle. So estrogen starts to peak, and then you've got, excuse me again, your luteinizing hormone starting to peak as it releases the egg. And that is where your energy levels and your libido should be at their maximum. Now, what happens if you get to ovulation, like I'm exhausted, I have no energy, I can't even look at my partner. And like, don't get me wrong, I understand that month after month after month of trying, like intercourse is not necessarily the most exciting part of the month. I totally get that. But you should be able to notice a shift or a difference. If you don't, you need to go back a couple of weeks and say, well, what was I doing during my menstrual phase? Or even a little bit before that, what was I doing in the lead up to my menstrual phase? Was I pushing myself too much? And is that the reason why my body is then struggling to build all of its energy and come into those, all of the feelings that we should have around ovulation? We should get cervical mucus. We might feel a little bit of tenderness on one side on, the ovary that we're ovulating. In our yoga practice, again, we're using those more high energy flows. You'll see a lot of like deep squats where we want to start bringing that energy down. So pulling the energy down into those lower chakra centers to support healthy ovulation. Then after ovulation, we move into our luteal phase. Now in the luteal phase, obviously when we're trying to conceive, one of two things has happened. Either you're pregnant and your body is gearing up to do the biggest job of its life, or sadly, you will not be pregnant and your body is preparing to menstruate and start the cycle again. So, in both of these cases, we need to support the body in the same way because either way, you're not going to feel as energetic as you would have, say, a week or two earlier. So, in the luteal phase, we need to keep good circulation and blood flow going because we know that good circulation is crucial for implantation of a little embryo. And it's also really important this time of the month to come into those more regulating and calming practices. So that's where you see a lot more restorative poses at the end of our sequences. And the idea here is to help us calm and regulate our nervous system. We're going to speak a little bit more about nervous system regulation tomorrow. It is, I think, the most important thing you can possibly do on this journey. But just quickly, if you are pushing yourself a lot during your luteal phase, your body is going to be producing a lot more cortisol and a lot more adrenaline. So that they are your two main stress hormones. The problem with cortisol in particular is that if your body is producing a lot of cortisol, it steals from your body's ability to produce progesterone. They have the same precursor hormone, like they're created from pregnenolone, which creates both of those two hormones, and then a few others downstream. So if you have a lot of cortisol, your body can't make enough progesterone, and that's going to affect your luteal phase. It's going to affect implantation. We might notice things like shorter luteal phases, spotting before our periods, a lot of PMS, very sore breasts. All of those are symptoms of low progesterone. So it is really important during this phase that we bring our energy levels down a little bit. So I hope that gives you an idea about cycle syncing. And as I mentioned, I'll leave time for questions at the end. And you can go like super deep into this. You can incorporate all other forms of exercise within your cycle. With all my students, I write personalized programs. So if I have someone come to me and they say, look, I love running, I love going to the gym, I love Pilates, I want to fit all of this into my cycle. I like to pretty much say to people, look, nothing is off limits, but it just depends on what we do when and how intense we go. And you can also incorporate nutrition, like cycle syncing nutrition, which is not something that I teach. I know a little bit about, but and I can give you some sort of guidance around. But you can go super deep into your cycle and all of these infradian rhythms. So the whole benefit of this, like I said, is to synchronize your hormones, get your cycle more balanced, more predictable. You know you're going to ovulate at a certain day. You know your period's going to start at a certain day. And like I said, it's going to reduce all of that cortisol, all of the stress within your body. and it's going to give you increased energy. And the most important thing as a yoga and meditation teacher is I think it allows you this beautiful, deep connection within your body. Imagine if we were teaching teenage girls this, like rather than your menstrual cycle is a big problem that you have to address, what if we taught them that this is such a beautiful gift? And when you can learn how each of the beautiful rhythms work, how much more connected are we going to be to our bodies if we do that? So, what happens if you don't have a period? And of course, I work with a lot of women who have PCOS or hypothalamic amenorrhea, or I had post pill amenorrhea, where you don't have a cycle, or maybe you are gearing up to do like you're doing a down regulation protocol in leading up to IVF. So, there's a couple of things. It's very dependent on the reason for you not having a cycle, but generally, if your cycle is missing because of there's a disconnection between the pituitary, the gland in your brain, and your ovaries, we need a combination of these more energetic practices to kind of wake up that connection and get that energy circulating to like really remind your body that, you know, who we were talking about yesterday, it's your blood is that delivery system for nutrients and hormones. So we need good blood flow going where it needs to go. But at the same time, we need these restorative practices as well because we need to remind our brain and our nervous system that we're in a safe environment that is ideal for conception. So we need a combination of both. But like I said, it's very dependent on what reason you have for losing your period, and that's where I like to work with people one-on-one a little bit more. And there's also this super woo-woo concept called moon cycling, which is super cool. I've got some podcast episodes on this if you want to go a bit deeper into it. But moon cycling is about following the moon cycle and matching that to your menstrual cycle. So the moon cycle is like 27 and a half days, which I don't think there's any coincidence that that's kind of generally the same length of a woman's menstrual cycle. And we know like our bodies are what, 70% or more of water, and the moon controls the whole world's tides, the oceans throughout the whole planet. Like I think if the moon can control all of that water, I think to think that it has no impact on our bodies is a little naive. So moon cycling is super cool. It's about using the full moon as your ovulation and the new moon as your menstruation and matching your what you would do throughout the month to the moon cycle. There's some cool things that Google it if you want. There's some super cool anecdotal stuff that comes up. Now, in a group setting, of course, we can't all be in our same cycle phase, right? So what do we do? The main things that we need to focus on, we've got three things. So the first is that increase of circulation and blood flow, but we do this gently. So it doesn't matter where you are in your cycle, you're still going to benefit. The second is we add those regulating tools and we add restorative work, shavasana, legs up the wall, all these things to calm and support that regulation, to get us out of fight or flight, back into that parasympathetic state of rest and digest. And the third thing that I'm so passionate about is being able, when I've got this time and I've got people in a group, I want to remind you of how important it is to reconnect with your body and remind yourself that you are capable. And that is what we are going to do today. So let's get into it, everyone. I'm so excited to begin. As I mentioned, we are going to incorporate a little bit more pranayama, which is breath work, into our practice today. So I'm going to invite you to go and get comfortable on your mat. Now, with our practice today, you don't actually need any props necessarily, but I would recommend if you don't like sitting down directly on the floor on your yoga mat, just go and grab yourself a little pillow or a blanket or a bolster or just something that gives you some support. And yeah, let's do it. All right. So I'm going to get you to come and get yourself, as we started yesterday, into easy pose or sukhasana here to begin. I always get so energetic when I'm talking about all these things that I'm so passionate about. So we're just going to slow everything down and arrive and begin with some really gentle breaths. So let's allow our hands to rest onto our legs or to the floor beside us, but palms down, really grounding to bring palms down. And just notice every part of your body that is connected here to your mat. Really drop down into your hips, For this moment now, I want you just to really drop into the body. So almost feel like you're slouching, just let everything go. So the belly starts to really soften. Let the spine just relax, let the head drop a little bit. Now, keeping a sense of softness around your abdomen, all we're going to do is lengthen the spine a little bit, but really gently. So we're not trying to stiffen, we're just thinking about the crown of the head drawing up to the ceiling. We've got our shoulders rolling back and down away from our ears. Now, closing your eyes, if you feel ready and you feel comfortable, let's take a really long, deep breath in. So, full belly breath in. And then slow exhale all the way out. And just finding again that sense of softness, allowing everything to release. Feel nice and wide and open across your chest, your heart center here. Your breath is that magic portal between your conscious and your subconscious here. So when we slow down our breath, this starts to signal to our nervous systems that we're present, we're safe, that there is nothing to fear. So even those few slow breaths, hopefully you're starting to feel that shift. Now let's place one hand over the lower belly and one hand over the heart center here. And we're going to breathe a little more deeply into both the heart and the womb. Just feeling that gentle pressure of your hands against you. See if you can notice the beat of your heart. And just checking in with yourself here for a few moments, asking, how are you feeling today? Just noticing any emotions that have come up, thoughts, thought patterns that are present. Just inviting ourselves to become aware without any judgment here. Now, if you would like to set an intention for your practice today, I invite you to do that now. And don't think about your intention too much. Usually, the first thing that comes up for us is exactly what we are needing, what we're looking for. Now, imagine you are holding your intention in your hands. Draw your hands together at prayer. Rest them in at your heart center here. And then with your next breath in, send your arms up high above you, reaching to the sky, reaching to the ceiling. Let the hands go and just send that intention off and out into the universe. Let it go. And then allow your arms to release and come back down. And just give those shoulders a little bit of a roll up and down. God, you might want to roll out your wrists. Maybe even shake out the hands just gently. Just release any kind of stagnant or built up energy here. Beautiful. Now, we are going to begin here with an energizing pranayama practice. So this is, I'm going to get you to really see the difference about how powerful your breath is and how you can change your physical state just by using your breath. So this is an energizing practice that I like to do at the start of the practice or maybe in the morning when you wake up. to start waking up your endocrine system, getting blood flowing, your heart pumping, and getting you ready for your day or for your practice. So it is super simple. I would suggest you place hands over lower belly, but if you want to relax your hands, then you can do that as well. So all we do is a full inhale through our nose and then an exhale through our mouth. But it is a forced inhale and exhale. So not just like a soft, gentle, it's a and what we're going to do here is practice for 30 seconds. Take a little reset, a little slow breather, and then repeat for 30 seconds. And then we're going to see how we feel afterwards. Now, it is normal when we do energizing breath work for you to feel a little bit lightheaded because you are changing the balance between carbon dioxide and oxygen within your body. If you do feel lightheaded and it's uncomfortable for you, slow your breathing down. It is not unsafe if you are at any stage of your cycle or if you're going through treatments, but I want you to be aware of that. So let's begin. Place hands wherever they feel comfortable. Soften the shoulders. Now take a big belly breath in. Expand belly, expand chest. And then exhale. Inhale. Continue with those 20 more seconds. Now there's no pause at the top of the inhale or the bottom of the exhale. We just continue to breathe in and out. Full breaths right up to the top, all the way out. And start to really use those abdominal muscles to guide that breath. Keep going for 5, for 4, good, 3, 2, last breath. Now just slow your breathing down, gently breathing in and out through the mouth. Slow breath again, in through the mouth, out through the mouth. We're doing a gentle mouth breath here because it allows us to get a little bit more oxygen in. Just let your heart rate slow back down. Take one more like this. Now let's start to speed it up once again. In through the nose, out through the mouth. 30 seconds. You can have your eyes open or eyes closed. Just really tuning inwards. Work with your breath. Follow that rhythm. 10 more seconds. One more. And then slowing that breath down. This time back in and out through the nose. Now let your hands rest, palms facing up to the ceiling. So back at the hand resting down. Relax your fingers. Relax your shoulders away from your ears and just notice, is there any change in your body? And don't worry if there's not. These are all practices. They're something that we're just learning and getting used to. But if you do notice any shifts, what is there? Do you feel a little bit of tingling through the body? Maybe energy starting to circulate? Maybe your heart rate is lifted a little. You can see in just a minute what a difference your breath can make. Beautiful. Now, when you're ready, we're going to take our hands and reach them out in front of us. So reaching down onto the mat and sort of like a seated child's pose here. What I'd like you to do is walk your hands forward and start to let your body draw down towards the floor. Now we're not pressing too deeply. We don't want to feel any kind of pulling or discomfort in the hips or the pelvis. We're just going to stretch out the spine. Beautiful. Stretching out gently through the back of the hips, the pelvis, the low back. Drop your chin down into your chest. Take a full belly breath in. And as you exhale, start to slowly roll yourself back to sitting. And then switch your legs over. So you're going to cross the other leg in front. Now this is going to feel a little more awkward or more uncomfortable than what you would normally do. Reach forward and release down. Drop the shoulders. Good. Chin to chest. Breathe into the belly. Open out space through the spine. Good. One more big breath. And then start to release yourself all the way up. Beautiful. Now, just take your right leg and we're going to stretch it out to the side. Now, if you are a little bit tight in your hips or your inner thighs, you might find that sitting on that pillow or blanket gives you a bit of support here. But I don't want you to worry. Like if this leg feels tight, just bring the foot forward a little bit. That'll take some tension off. And we're going to start to reach towards those toes. So just lean to the side, let your head drop. So maybe your hand reaches down to the ankle, maybe you reach for the toes, doesn't matter. Just find where you land. And then stretch your free arm up to the ceiling and then overhead. And we're just going to breathe into the side of your body here, side of the ribs. This is a beautiful pose to open out through the liver meridian here. And as we were speaking about yesterday, all of these spinal movements are so important in our fertility series to get energy going. And this is a hip opener as well. We start to release tension in the pelvis. Let's stay here for one more breath in. On your exhale, see if we can drop just a little deeper into the pose without forcing it. And then come back up. And now keep the legs as they are. Take that free hand, that left hand, and just reach it behind you into a very gentle open twist. So opposite hand onto the thigh. Good. Turn your chest, look over your shoulder, and just drop those shoulders down from the ears. Soften through the belly. Just use your arms to guide you here. Take one more breath to that gentle twist. And then release back to center. Let's switch to the other side. So just fold that leg in. Take your time as you transition between your poses. Adjust that leg however it feels comfortable. You bring it forward, out to the side. Now reaching down towards the ankle, just lean your body gently to the side. And then only when you feel ready, now take that right arm, reach it up, and then maybe lean over that little bit deeper. Again, it doesn't matter where you land. You're just going to take your time. These are wonderful poses during menstruation as well. You'll see a lot of hip openers with side bending here. Such a lovely way to release tension and cramping around the pelvis. But even at any stage of the cycle, such a good way to start encouraging that blood flow. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, let's drop a little deeper, soften the shoulders. And then draw yourself back up and then take that right hand behind you and take a little open twist. So you relax your belly, soften the legs, drop down into the hips and just let your arms guide you. Looking over your shoulder. Nice full breath here, all the way in and out. And then come back to the middle. And last pose we're going to do here is to come into Baddha Konasana, our seated butterfly. So join the soles of the feet together. Now you can bring your feet as close towards your pelvis as feels comfortable. Now don't worry about where your knees are. Your knees might be up here. That is completely fine. Everyone's adductor inner thigh flexibility is different. So wherever your knees land, they land. Just do a little butterfly flutter here. So just letting those knees very gently lift lower, that's it. Soft belly again. And then just let those knees come to a place of softness. Let go through the belly, big breath in, and then forward fold, come down. So you can rest your elbows onto the inside of the lower leg if you want to press those knees a little bit wider. You may even want to bring your elbows down onto the floor if you want to take the pose deeper. But again, none of our yin poses here are about forcing our bodies into the positions. So I just want you to use the pose to notice how your body feels physically, and then use your breath to guide yourself into it a little deeper. Let the head drop. Whole abdomen is just super relaxed. Let everything just hang. Let it go. Beautiful. And then take your time as you slowly lift yourself back to sitting. Stretch out the spine, roll back those shoulders. Beautiful work. Carefully bring those knees back in. We're going to turn to face the top of the mat now and come into tabletop. So let's make our way into all fours. You've got your hands right underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And we're going to go straight into cat-cow from here. So we drop our belly down towards the mat. Roll back your shoulders, lift your chest, and if you feel comfortable to do so with your neck, you can lift your chin, open your throat. That starts to stimulate the throat chakra here, gets the thyroid gland opening. And then exhale, we round the spine. So press down through the hands, really scoop the ribs in, pull your chin gently to your chest. And then reverse again. Use your inhale to lengthen and look forward. Exhale to round the spine up. And if you wish, you can close your eyes and just start to move through anywhere that feels tight or tense in your spine. Cat-cow is one of our very best fertility poses. It does so much all at once. It is such a wonderful somatic exercise. And when you hear the word somatic, it really only means body, focus and connection to the body. And cat-cow is wonderful because it basically moves energy through every single energy center or chakra point that we have. And it releases tension, tightness, and it's a beautiful way to move with your breath. Let's do one more here each way. Beautiful. Now come back and find that center. Let's take the right arm now and reach it to the ceiling. We're going to take a gentle open twist here. So reach up through fingertips, open out across the front of the body. Beautiful. Now place that right hand back down onto the floor and take the left arm up when you're ready. Inhale, open twist, lift, lengthen, reaching for the ceiling. Exhale, come back down. Let's take two more on each side. So come up, lengthen and lift. Big inhale, open your chest. Exhale, lower. Other side. Might start to feel like if you kind of clicks and clunks through the spine here. Mine always does. And none of that is ever an issue unless it causes discomfort. So if it's just body's way of kind of adjusting, do not worry too much. Now, once you've evened out your arms here, let's come back to center. We're going to walk the hands slightly further forwards and a little bit wider than shoulders. And then take the knees a little bit wider than your hips. Good. We're going to start by shifting the hips back towards our heels and then take a circle forwards, coming to the front and then circle around the other side and then move back. Now, please adjust your hands and your knees in any way that feels comfortable for you. And what we're going to focus on here is allowing our legs and our arms to hold the weight and create that movement, but you're still keeping your belly really, really soft. So as we noticed yesterday, there are so many circular movements in our fertility series. And the reason being is that it really awakens the sacral center and brings out that really feminine Shakti energy through the body. See, that's sort of an area we tend to, if you ever work with like any Reiki masters and you feel, and you let them know about fertility concerns, it's one of those areas that we tend to notice is quite blocked and sort of stagnant. So the more we can create all of these beautiful circular motions physically through the body, it allows a little bit of that energy to release. So let's reverse now, going around the other way. And remember, all of these circular movements, there's no exact rules how you need to do it particular way. We're just looking for flow and movement, and you're finding what feels good for your body. That is so much of what our practice is about. Good. Last one here in this direction. Beautiful. Now touch your big toes together. Let's sit back, take child's pose. Let your arms either extend forwards and your head drop to the mat, or if you feel more comfortable, you can wrap your arms around your legs. You just find again what feels good for your body on the mat today. You may want to wiggle your hips a little side to side just to ease a little deeper into your hips. I'm going to take 3 long breaths here. So really expand the back of the rib cage, expand through the chest. And as you exhale, just allow your whole body to soften. Let it go. Now, if you are menstruating today and your bleed is on that heavier side, I'm going to invite you to stay in child's pose and just continue to breathe. Otherwise, we're going to rise up for down dog. So coming up, tuck the toes, bend the knees as you lift your hips, and just slowly shift your chest towards your thighs, and then start to stretch out the legs when you feel ready. You can bend one knee now and start to walk out through the feet. Now, down dog is a feature of a lot of our fertility work. So all of our inversions are really important for stimulating the endocrine system and waking up that energy and that circulation towards both the thyroid gland, the pituitary, and the hypothalamus in the brain. So when we are in a gentle inversion, it sends that blood flow into those areas. Down dog is also wonderful because it opens the back of the hips. We get a little bit tight and it opens the heart. It does so many things for us. One of my favorites. Good. Now, if you feel ready in down dog, you can stretch out both legs. You can allow both of your heels to drop towards the floor. Just really stretch out the spine. See if you can lift your hips a little higher, but drop your heels a little heavier to the mat. And again, not forcing it, just breathing into that position, that place. I'm going to hold for 3. Just keep following your breath. 2 and 1, release. Now, everyone meeting back up onto your tabletop position. So either come up from child's pose or come back down and just give your hips a little sway from side to side, a little counter pose. Let go of any tension, any tightness through the body. Beautiful. Now let's make our way into our standing forward fold. So curl your toes under. Do start to walk your hands towards your knees. We're going to rock back onto our feet. So feet are heavy, flat, and hip distance apart. Bend your knees. Nice, big, generous bend of the knees. If you need to place your fingertips down, you can, or flat palms to the floor, up to you. Give your head a little turn side to side. Release any neck tension. Nod the chin back and forth. Let go of any tightness in the back of the neck. Now, please keep those knees nice and soft. You can grab opposite elbows and take a ragdoll here. Sway from side to side, unwinding a little more deeply into that low back. Right. Now, coming back to your center, we take a big breath in, release the arms. As you exhale, we roll up to standing. Please take your time as we come up to Tadasana here, our mountain pose. We roll back the shoulders. Open out your chest. Rotate your palms forward here for a moment and just lengthen the spine. Now, Tadasana is a very subtle but very powerful pose because we are actually using every major muscle group in the body to hold us upright, but at the same time, it feels effortless. So just know, even in this position, how capable your body is. Something that once upon a time you could not do. You had to learn, you had to practice. Now, standing is something you don't even think about. And something as simple as this can remind us of our capability. On your next inhale, sweep your arms high to the sky, to the ceiling, palms together at prayer. Reach up and back, look upwards, take a little back bend. Full breath in again when you're ready. Exhale, hands to heart center. Now bow forwards. When you can't go any further with straight legs, we bend the knees, forward fold, release down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise. And then roll back shoulders. We do that one more time. Inhale, palms high. Lift the chin, look back. Exhale, hold. Inhale, stay here again. Reach up a little more. Exhale, hands to heart, bow forwards and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rising back up and release. Good. Now step your right foot forward to the middle of the mat. Keep that left leg back behind you, and we're going to stretch out both legs here to start. We square our hips towards the top of the mat, and this back foot needs to be flat. So if you need to turn out your toes a little bit to get your heel down, go for it. I'm going to come into a modified warrior one. Bring your hands together at prayer. Bend that front knee very slightly, so it's just a softening of that front knee. So our standing poses are incredibly important throughout our fertility series because they are so grounding. They allow us to bring energy into those lower chakras, especially the root, where if there's any disconnection or have stagnant energy in our root chakra, we feel very unsteady is probably a good word, unsafe, overwhelmed. We're sort of all up in our heads. We don't take a moment to just stay and reconnect. So all of our standing poses are incredibly important for this. But we don't want to take them too deep. So it's not about coming into a huge, huge bend in this particular sequence here. It's just a softening. Now really work with your breath. Gazes forwards. As you exhale, just allow your energy to drop down into your feet, into your mat, to the earth beneath you. Really stretch out your back leg. Maybe lean your shoulders back slightly, and you're going to feel your hip opening. Stay here for one more breath. Now lean forwards. We're going to transition into tree pose. So lift your back heel and just slowly bring that back foot forwards. And you're going to turn out your left knee and land your foot against either the lower leg. I'm going to turn to face you so I can show you the different options here. So either below the knee, or you can bring that foot up above the knee if you're feeling a little more steady. Or if this just isn't working for you today, leave the toes on the floor. It does not matter where we end up with this left foot. And all we're going to do here is breathe and draw our awareness inwards. You may feel that you need to come out of the pose, you may stumble, you may need to reset. I find that tree pose is such a beautiful analogy for our fertility journeys because we are going to stumble, we are going to sway, we may even fall, but it is about allowing whatever happens in the moment to happen without any judgment, and then resetting as we need. If you've ever looked at a tree, which I know we all do every day, trees are not steady. They sway. They have grounded, strong, and stable roots, but they sway with the wind. They move with the seasons. and they are perfect exactly as they are. We're going to slowly allow ourselves to come out of the pose, bringing your feet down towards the mat, and just give those feet a little walk out, let go of any tension. Beautiful. We're going to sweep both arms up, inhale, and then big exhale, just forward fold, come all the way back down, release. That's it. Beautiful. Now step back into tabletop, back into all fours. Beautiful. Now from here, we're going to come back into our cat-cow. So you can allow your belly to drop, your chest to lift, lengthen the spine, full inhale, exhale, rounding all the way up. So again, I invite you to close your eyes here and just really work with your breath. Inhale as you lift the chest, exhale as you draw the chin in. And just notice through your body, how do you feel with your cat-cow now compared to the very start of our practice? Is there any shift? Is there anything that feels different? Maybe the movements are a little easier. And we're just using our breath to find what is there. And one more here each way. Now let's come back and find our center. Good. From there, take the knees a little wider. Tuck the toes under and come back to down dog. Now, if you are again menstruating today, instead of down dog, I'll invite you to come back and take child's pose just for a little bit longer and just again following your breath. If you're coming up into down dog, you can walk out the feet once more. If you find that you prefer just to hold in stillness, then please take that as an option as well. Finding that slow, long exhale, just listening to the sound of the breath. Let the head be heavy. Let the shoulders drop away from the ears. Whichever pose you're in, we're going to stay here for 3 more long breaths. Then with your next exhale, let's meet back in all fours. And once again, we're going to roll back to standing. So curl your toes, walk your hands to your knees, rock back onto your feet. Keep those knees soft before you come up. Full breath in. Exhale, we rise back up. I'm going to start that slow flow now on the other side. So let's just meet up in Tadasana here, finding your mountain pose. Let's take a second to feel steady, to feel grounded, to allow that blood flow to return down to the legs. As you breathe in, palms up high above you. Lift the chin, look up, little back bend if you feel able to. And then exhale, hands to heart center, bow forwards. Bend the knees forward, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rising up. Arms high. Inhale, lengthen and lift a little bit more. Gentle back bend. Exhale, hands to heart, bow forwards and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And rising back up, finding that mountain pose first. Reset shoulders down. Now left foot steps forward to the center of the mat. Right foot behind you. So take a moment to square your hips to the top of the mat. Both feet flat. Hands together at prayer. So thumbs right in at the center of the heart here. Soften that front knee. So a modified warrior one. So just a little bend in that front knee. Stretch out the back leg. Soften out your belly. Gaze is straight ahead. Now use your breath to draw energy down through the body, down through the legs to the feet, the mat, the earth. Inhale, let that energy rise back up into your chest. And then exhale, release and draw it down. Take one more breath here. Now let's start to lean forward. We shift into tree pose. So bring that back foot forwards and step your right foot to the inside of that left. So you can either be below the knee or above the knee, but please don't put the foot on the knee joint. And you might find that one side just for you today is a lot more balanced or a lot less balanced than the other. Some days I do this pose and I am just all over the place. And something that a teacher of mine once said to me that always stuck with me is we're not using our body in yoga to come into the poses. We are using our poses to come into our body. So every pose has been mindfully created to allow you to connect in a different way to you and your body. And just notice here what starts to shift, what starts to pull your attention. Is there anything your mind is trying to tell you? Be more balanced, don't stumble. Just be aware, see what comes up. Give yourself grace. Come back to it when you're ready. I'm going to stay here for one more breath. And then releasing out of the pose, take your time, walk out those feet, roll out the wrists, anything else you need to do, let go of tension. Let's float those arms up above us one more time, full breath in, and then exhale, just release back down to the floor. Now we are all going to meet back in child's pose. So come down onto your knees, take those knees as wide as you like, and then bring the hips down. You can allow your forehead once again to rest on the floor, arms either stretching out or wrapped around you. We're just going to breathe. Bring your attention to your breath. And with every exhale, see if we can invite a tiny bit more softness. Where else can you let go? Let's take one more full breath here together. Keep your eyes closed if you can. We're going to start to walk the hands in towards the legs, sitting up tall. If you're not comfortable kneeling, please sit however you prefer. To place both hands over the lower belly. Reconnect with that intention that you set at the start of your practice here. Be aware of how you're feeling now. Notice what's happening around your thoughts, any emotions that are coming up. And stay here for one more full breath. And softly open the eyes. Now we are going to take a seat on the mat for our seated forward fold. So just have your legs stretched out in front of you. Now, this is one of those poses where you may want to sit on a pillow or a blanket, especially if you feel a bit tight in the back of your legs or your low back. That might be a nice option to support yourself. Or I find just bending the knees a little bit here is a really nice way to ease into that a little more easily. So wherever you are, we're going to think about flexing the toes to the ceiling. There's an important reason we do that, which I'll explain as we go. And now take your arms, reach them high above you. So full breath in, just stretch up as much as you can. And as you exhale, we fold forward. So think of drawing your belly to your thighs, your chest towards your knees, and then reach fingers down towards the toes. Now, it does not matter where you end up. You might want to now let your hands rest onto the shins, the floor. Maybe you want to grab your ankles. Maybe you want to grab your feet. And I want you to start to breathe into the back of your body here. So stretching up through the spine, breathe into the back of the ribs. If you feel any pulling or discomfort on your lower back or your hamstrings, you just ease out of it a little bit, please. Don't force yourself into the pose. Now, forward folds are incredibly calming and soothing for the nervous system because your body naturally flexes forwards with every exhale. So your spine naturally extends with an inhale and it flexes forward with that exhale. And your exhale is that signal to your brain when it is done slowly that you are safe. And it allows us to switch into that parasympathetic state. So when we come into a really exaggerated forward fold and we slow down our breath, it becomes incredibly regulating. Now, flexing the toes and tucking the chin physically stretches out the nerves within the body. So your nerves and your nervous system is the same system. And so when we are able to physically stretch out the nerves, you're getting that vagal tone. You're actually working with your nervous system to create change. I'm going to stay here for 2 more breaths. See if you can sink a little deeper. Maybe tuck the chin to your chest, but be gentle. Like I said, it's a very nervy stretch. Now, with your inhale, let's start to just release up and out of the pose. Take your time. Maybe roll back your shoulders and release. Beautiful work. Now, we're going to come down onto our back. Good. So just come down, laying on your back, and we're going to start here. Hug the knees towards the chest. Give yourself a little hug. If you want, wrap your arms around your legs. You can rock and roll those hips side to side. Give the lower back a massage. Release tension from the adrenal glands here. Beautiful. Now let's allow those feet to draw back down towards the mat, and we're going to step them out as wide as the mat. So right out on the sides, and now we let the knees drop inwards together. So this is a very passive and gentle hip stretch here. We are allowing our thigh bones to come into internal rotation, and that is not a position that we tend to put our hips in very much throughout our day. Place your hands over your low belly here and just breathe into it. Please adjust in any way you need to feel comfortable. This is a really passive stretch, so hopefully we're able here to let go completely and just let that position do the work for you. Nice full breaths here, all the way in and out. Now, if you are menstruating today, again, and your bleed is on that heavier side, I'm going to ask you to stay here in this supine rest pose. Otherwise, we're going to move into bridge. So Setu Bandhasana here. We walk the feet a little closer to the hips, feet a hip distance apart, and your arms are going to reach long beside your body. Now press down into the heels. As you inhale, flatten your lower back into the mat and roll your hips upwards to the ceiling here. We're going to press down into the feet. Feel that strength in the back of the legs, in the back of the hips, the glutes here, but keep your belly really soft. So no tension, tightness in the abdomen. And with your next exhale, we're going to roll down through the spine. So upper back, middle back, low back. Inhale again, let's roll up. And I'm going to invite you to keep these going in your own time. So inhale, we lift. And exhale, we lower and release. And just keep those moving slowly with control. As you're rolling down, let's see if we can place each vertebra, each little bone in the back, down one after the other. And often the low back is where we start to get a little bit stuck or a bit tight. So maybe focus there for a little longer if you need. Set. Rolling down now. The next time you roll up into your bridge, we're going to stay there. So peeling up, let all the weight press into the shoulder blades. Maybe lift your chest a little higher. Really tuck your chin down into the collarbones. Lengthen the back of the neck. And that's a lovely way to, again, stimulate the thyroid gland. If you want to go a little deeper, you can lift your heels. You can place your hands under your hips and press yourself up a little higher, only if that feels good. Just breathe into the belly, hug the knees in line with the hips here. We're going to hold for 3, for 2, good, 1, and then release. And let it all go. Hug those knees back in wherever you are now. Let's all join the knees in. Once again, give yourself a hug. Rock out any tension from the low back. You might want to circle the ankles, wiggle the toes. Beautiful. Now let's allow the feet to come back to the mat, feet together now, and then open out the knees into your reclined butterfly, palms over the pelvis. And we're going to take Yoni Mudra here with our hands, and that's where we join tip of the index fingers, tips of the thumbs together, and you place that shape over the womb space. This can be quite an intense pose. We won't be here for too long, but as much as you can, soften and relax. Full breath into the hands, into the womb space. Exhale, let it all go. Take 3 more breaths. Good, last breath here. And now we're going to make our way into Shavasana. So let the legs draw back in slowly, extending those legs out along your mat. Please feel free to keep your hands here if they feel comfortable over that low belly, or you may just want to relax them to the side. Make any adjustments you need in order to feel completely comfortable. So as we come into Shavasana here, we're going to take a few rounds of our surrender breath. This is a beautiful breathwork practice to really let go. To do this practice, we start with a big breath in through the nose. So fullest breath that you've got, all the way to the very top of that inhale. And then open your mouth and with a gentle sigh, release and let go. Softly out. Again, full breath in. Open the mouth, full sigh. Release. Continue those in your own time. In through the nose. Full breath out through the mouth. And with every exhale here, I want you to find something else that you are ready to let go of. Whether it is physical tension that you're holding within your body, use your exhale to let it go. Maybe it is a thought or a recurring thought or a belief that has been coming up for you and you know that it isn't serving you. Anything you've been holding on to here that you no longer need, give yourself permission to let it go. Let's take one more. And just let your breath settle back into its natural, gentle rhythm. In and out through the nose. Spend the last few moments of our practice here, following your breath in stillness. Now let's take a really deep breath in when you feel ready. Maybe start to wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Maybe stretch out the arms and the legs if you wish. Now take your time. We're going to roll slowly over onto our side. And if you want to pause on your side for a few breaths, please do so. When you are feeling ready, we are going to make our way back up to sitting. And once you're all the way up, we are going to close our practice today with, I think, my most favorite pranayama exercise, which is the Brahmari or the hummingbee breath. It is such a powerful tool. Again, a very simple one. The breath practice is an inhale through the nose and an exhale through the nose, but we close the lips on the exhale and we start to hum. So the exhale just sounds like this. But the way we make this breathwork practice a little more intense is to close down a few of our senses. So you're going to close your eyes, and then I'm going to invite you to put your fingers into your ears and close off your hearing. And that's going to intensify the sounds and the vibrations. Now, you won't be able to hear me when you do that. So when we get into it, I'm going to invite you to take 5 Brahmari breaths and then come back to the room. Now, if you find that hands and ears is too intense, place your hands onto your chest. You can feel your rib cage or your collarbones, and you'll feel the vibration that way. Vibration with sound and breath, again, is a very calming tool for your nervous system. It creates that vagal tone, that like physical change within the nervous system. So let's begin. So we start with a full inhale through the nose. Close your eyes, close off your ears, close your lips, and then hum. Take 4 more in your own time. Mm. 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 When you're ready, let's come back to the place we began today. Hands together at prayer. Notice how you feel after that breathwork practice. And your homework for today, for tonight, is to practice the Brahmari breath before you go to bed. 2 minutes, that's all you need. I want you to notice any change, any shift that you feel afterwards. Starting here with a full breath in together. And then as you exhale, allow your head to bow forwards. Namaste. Thank you again for being here today, for sharing your time and your practice with me. It is an absolute honor to support you on your journey. I'm going to leave some time now for questions for anyone who's here live with me today. And if there's anything that you want to know, however, if you are watching this on the replay, please know that you can reach out to me by email or via DM if you have any questions. And I cannot wait to see you back here tomorrow for day 3, where we are going to be speaking about nervous system regulation, why this is so crucial on your journey of trying to conceive, but not just why it's important for helping us become pregnant, stay pregnant, but how it's going to serve you throughout pregnancy, new motherhood, and the rest of your life. So thank you again, and I will see you tomorrow. Namaste.